The Diary of a Certified Psychopath. Off the crank. Reflection and reception. One graceful pirouette of our little blue planet later, it wasn't the blood-curdling howls of bushy-tailed tease-maids raiding the humanely inedible remains of stone-baked breakfast baps or M&S organic ready meals from rolling food banks that roused my senses, nor the bad haptic vibes of Apple's next cherry-picked newsworthy crisis, but rather a cacophonous cackle emanating from two rival magpies who were engaged in a violent squabble over stable perch space on a neighbour's narrowband TV aerial. Having reconciled their territorial dispute and deprived their hapless owner of at least 100 Freeview channels, including E4 Extra and 5-Star Plus One, this mischievous duo glowered down as if showboating their acrobatic skills, whilst I was left to tip-tread across whispering carpets of frost and ponder whether my conservative speed, partially induced by aero-deficient clothing, would be sufficient to outpace Elon Musk's fleet of Tesla drones that it is rumoured will soon be deployed from a secret facility owned and operated by SpaceX. This proactive initiative is purportedly the latest in a series of projects coordinated by the entrepreneur's astronomical aviation company, which aims to facilitate the acquisition and development of marketable terrestrial real estate. Skimming small subjects shallow. And then, following one minor flare-up of restless fibres, flexing his intellect during one particular nugget of performance-enhancing audio that YouTube's intuitive content curators had shuffled to the top of my computationally customized playlist, were Anthony Scaramucci, former freelance investment banker turned independent vodcaster, but perhaps most famous for having spent less time in his role as White House Communications Secretary under President Trump's first tenure than the average lifespan of a common garden snail, several of which I deftly avoided within the opening kilometre of this urgent forage for Britain's favourite bean-based beverage in freshly freeze-dried form. On the adjacent Zoom feed was Brad Meltzer, political scholar and self-styled conspiracy slayer, whose new book claims to debunk a litany of myths attributed to one of the most shocking, momentous, and fervently debated events in American political history, the assassination of JFK. Amidst crescendoing bluster from our Gulf Stream's turbulent tag team, engaged in a ferociously competitive game of 10-bin bowling and forcing every pole-bound weather vane stationed on Shoreham's besieged peninsula to tinkle that Britain's latest tempest was worthy of Apple Plus news alerts, I learn little other than Meltzer's view that the most prevalent theories regarding Kennedy's premature death evolved from a chronology of palpable tensions with Russia during the early Cold War, an innate civil unrest after Nixon took office, and subsequent cultural influences, most notably in the realm of cinema, which led many visionary scholars to posit the notion that this radical and charismatic president's murder had been coordinated by the mafia. Similarly, the musical Camelot was supposedly a source of great solace and inspiration during his darkest hours, which Meltzer claimed allowed JFK's wife, Jackie, a proficient manipulator of the press, to fabricate a persuasive narrative regarding her husband's ideological ambitions and untimely demise. The last factoid I perceived above Screaming Lord South's escalating din stated that the physics-defying trajectories of Lee Harvey Oswald's infamous magic bullet have in truth been replicated by dozens of snipers according to both ballistics experts and official coroner's reports. Do I wish to dig this fathomless topic any further beyond the tip of its titanic iceberg? No. Next recommended by YouTube's profoundly learned librarians was a brief video entitled 5 Ways to Beat Depression. Its host channel was heavily branded, appearing to specialise in advice relating to a variety of psychological disorders, and boasted almost 1 million subscribers. The video was preceded by an unskippable advertisement for Grammarly, an AI-powered writing utility designed to accelerate the process of text-based communication and provide its users with linguistic skills they might otherwise have to employ a company secretary to utilise. The commercial featured 2 people in a sterile office collaborating over a letter with the common objective of postponing a critical meeting, whilst a duo of colour commentators make dramatic observations as though they are witnessing the pivotal stages of a prestigious sporting event. It is my most hated advert on the entire internet, apart from all the others. Thus my mood when the core content finally commenced could have been better. Following a brief introduction promoting the channel and paying tribute to its growing audience, an honorary doctor in the field asserted that habitual sufferers should try making a daily list of every positive thing they achieved, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem. In less than a week, accredited studies have shown more than half who practice this technique claim to have experienced an improvement in their mood. At this point, I became distracted by the video's background music, which sounded like looped samples lifted from a selection of synthesized instrumental tracks one generally hears in elevators and shopping malls, that were then loaded into audio production software equipped with algorithmically calibrated composition engines that the creator had asked to render something that a chronically depressed camel would find upbeat and happy. I glanced through the comments section, hoping to reap vicarious satisfaction from hordes of deceived viewers who echoed my sentiments, but found only glowing endorsements of the guru's constructive advice, alongside detailed accounts of the euphoric fulfillment it had evoked within those who had soft-boiled an egg, or successfully unscrewed a 5-year-old jar of homemade apricot jam, or remembered to disable Windows Update, or lubricated their quick-link bike chain without removing it, or hand-cleaned a cherished souvenir mug more thoroughly than their Smeg dishwasher on its Ultra Sparkle cycle with 2 double-action tablets in the dispenser, or rescued Aunt Betty's bonsai bush from an army of albino slugs. The fact that not a single soul had felt compelled to publicly criticise this helpful video's arguable flaw depressed me to the point that I fear I may have disregarded its primary purpose, and failed to apply the principle of supplanting negative thoughts.